My wife left in August, filed for divorce in September. I've been stonewalled. We're not in any contact. How can I encourage her to communicate and see my changes if she won't respond or interact with me?
So we have right now 6 or 7 published interviews on people who are in zero contact and no contact, including Sabor himself, right? The play is always the same. Okay. So right now, I want you to imagine that you are a basketball player here. Okay. You have proven to suck at your games. So then now, whenever you play, no scouts are watching you anymore. The scouts have left. They're like, this guy have no fucking potential. Bye. Right? At that point, you have two choices. Either you say to yourself, well, the scouts are never going to watch me again. So what's the fucking point of practicing and growing my basketball skills? Or you can say, I don't know. I'm just going to grow. I don't know if the scout's going to come back or not, but I'm going to grow anyway. A lot of people, like Sabor, choose to grow anyway. And eventually, they grow so big to the point where through the grapevines, people start to hear stuff. And this grapevines can take on so many forms. I don't know what. With every client, it's very different. It could be friends talking about you. It could be your kids talking about you. It could be someone just far third degree separation talking about you. It could be them checking up on you in some subtle way. I don't know what. But eventually, as you grow, that curiosity will come. That curiosity will bring into the possibility of one conversation happening. And that one conversation, that one performance, if she sees that you have become that one conversation turns to two. The same way for the basketball player, you get a 5-minute play. You do well in that 5 minutes, you get 10 minutes, you get 15. Then before you know it, you're a starter. It's the same thing. And for a lot of people who are asking to themselves, like, well, how do I know my partner's watching? Let me ask you, okay? So a lot of you guys have been in long-term relationships, right? Can you just say in your mind right now, I'm going to shut this person off from my mind forever. I'm never going to think about them forever. Can you say that? Can you do that? Can you just forget this person existed? Can you just not watch this person ever again? It's hard. It's very hard. And your partner is also going through the same thing. But the reason why your partner cannot say that she's watching you is a simple reason, right? Imagine you are a scientist and you are trying to see how does someone behave when no one's watching, when their mind is unbiased. Would you tell them, hey, if you do XYZ, you will pass my experiment? Of course not, because that biases them. So your partner cannot tell you, if you do XYZ, I will come back to you. I will watch you. She cannot say that, because if she says that, then she can never know anymore if what she sees is you or because she told you to act that way. So partners will always tell you, I'm not watching, right? They'll tell you there's no chance because they want to see, what do you do at that moment? The same way with Maddie. What do you do when during moments when you cannot fake anymore? You can tell me all day long about how awesome you are, but let me look at the moments when you cannot fake it. What do you do then? Sabor, anything to add on this question?
Yeah, I mean, I had the whole like I got blocked, I got divorced. I mean, there's so much shit that I like had to face. And my partner was 100%, she made it very known, like she made it very known to me, like, Sabor, you are out. You are done. I don't give a shit anymore. And she stayed like that for 6 to 9 months. But she told me much, 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 much later. She told me, she's like, yeah, I was always curious. I was gonna reach out to you like a year after the fact just to see how you were doing. And this was after divorce. So
My
just
partner
as
told me
Geoffrey
the same thing
says,
too. She told me
yeah,
like, because I told her, hey, I thought we had no shot. I thought we had no chance. I thought you weren't watching anymore. I thought you didn't want to see my changes anymore. And she goes like, of course I always wanted to see your changes, you fucking dummy. Of course I did. How can I not? But how can I tell you that? Because every time I tell you that, you use that as motivation. You use that as like some temporary motivation. And every time, once you got me back, things backslide again. And it repeats. So I need to see that your changes are bred from something more real than just I want you back right now. It needs to be, I need to see that it's real. Let me just try to answer it and see if it answers the question or not. But resistance is basically any time. So the principle behind resistance that we teach in the program is that whenever people are misunderstanding the intentions behind your actions, right? So let's say that if I, let's say, give my partner flowers and she somehow misunderstands that as like, oh my God, you're trying to buy me with flowers. Are you fucking kidding me? Right? She could totally see like that. So she takes this action of you giving her flowers and misinterprets your intention of why you're giving it. Resistance equals whenever your partner misunderstands the intentions of your actions in a negative way. That means whenever she does that, that means that there is some underlying negative confirmation bias that is preventing her from feeling safe, that is causing her to interpret it that way. Because again, like I said, right, if you had perfect safety, technically and theoretically, your partner should never misunderstand whatever actions you do with a negative intention. And whenever there's a negative intention assumed, that tells me there is some negative confirmation bias there that's destroying safety, right? And my job as a leader of that relationship is to tackle that, is to lean into that. Okay. For example, sometimes my partner would say to me like some snarky stuff, right? Like whenever we travel, for example, she's always the one who plans everything, right? And she also packs. Sometimes it gets to the point where I would pack my bag. She would look at the way I packed it and go like, let me unpack it and repack it for you, kind of thing. To me, that is trying to tell me something, right? That is trying to tell me like, okay, she doesn't believe in the way I pack, or it's deeper than that. She doesn't believe that I'm the kind of guy when it comes to home stuff. I take it to the fucking finish line. I take it to the end, right? So then I make the conversation about that to be like, hey, so I noticed you tend to repack my stuff. Can I ask you, tell me your thinking there? And so the conversation progresses to the point where it can reveal so many things about how I don't take these things to the finish line, how I don't prioritize house chores and house stuff, how when I'm doing house chores, I'm not thinking about her end of the deal, her side. For example, like when I'm doing dishes, right? Sometimes I put the dishes in like weird places and it makes it hard for her to like take it out and organize it and stuff like that. It makes her feel like whenever I do stuff, I don't have her in mind. It could go to so many different, deeper conversations. And it all started into me recognizing that resistance and me leaning into it. While a lot of people, a lot of men, a lot of couples would just look at their resistance and try to fix it right away and put the wrong band-aid, put the wrong solution on it because they got the wrong problems behind that. And when we mean like leading to resistance, that's exactly what we mean is we teach our clients to lean into it by learning the frameworks and the thought process and the internal process to allow the frameworks so they can actually get curious. Because once you get resistance and you're not bulletproof, you will be driven by fear. And when you're driven by fear, you cannot be creative enough to lean into it. You will not know what to say anymore. You won't be able to say the right thing. And I think some members have shown that too, where even just barely surviving, suddenly you shut down. So instead of planting seeds or leading into the conversation and directing the conversation, leading it, you just say, okay, let me just back off. I don't know. But like James said, backing off actually communicates a lot more too to your partner.